Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for joining, whether that be live or coming back to the recorded version of this. I do appreciate your time. So just a quick introduction. My name is Joe Neighbour. I am based in London in the United Kingdom, and I've been involved in financial markets for over 20 years in a variety of different roles. I've been a stockbroker, a trader, a portfolio manager, a research analyst, and I continue to wake up every day and be excited by the financial markets. And my goal really is to try and empower as many people to participate in financial markets as possible and help them navigate the financial landscape that we find ourselves in. And this is always changing as well. We've obviously got continuations of geopolitical events, and there's always something driving the market, whether it be financial crises, COVID, whatever it may be. There's always something interesting happening in financial markets. And in order to be around to see all of these events and experience what can happen in financial markets, you need to remain active and you need to be able to protect your capital at all costs. That is ultimately what it comes down to. So what we're doing today, we are going to be analysing the Signal X tool that is available via OneRoyal, and that's in partnership with the company that I now work for, which is Acuity Trading. So Acuity Trading has been around for over 10 years. Very much a specialist in news originally, but about 5 or 6 years ago, the company acquired a business called Signal Centre, which I co-owned with another colleague of mine. And since then, with Acuity, we've gone from strength to strength, developing tools that are available for thousands of different market participants. We work exclusively with brokers like OneRoyal, and I'm proud to say that we've been a partner with OneRoyal now for a good number of years. And the idea is that we are providing institutional grade tools within the brokerage ecosystem. So anybody that has an account and is partnered with Acuity Trading and has an account with a broker that we're working with, you will be able to get access to our tools. Now, these tools are designed to assist traders, to help you make better trading decisions, to help you risk manage as effectively as possible when it comes to trading in financial markets. So there's a few things that I'll be going through today. So this is a specialized webinar. We're bringing together prime market tools and premium liquidity environment in the form of the OneRoyal ecosystem. And today, my aim is to empower your daily decisions by moving past market noise into structural, fully actionable trading signals. So with this webinar today, you're going to learn how to locate trading setups across FX, indices, commodities, and crypto assets and stocks as well, if that's what you're interested in. And really, we're going to be talking quite a lot about risk controls. I know you probably hear a lot of this through any research that you've done about financial markets, but it really is the critical element in everything we do in financial markets. Risk should be the number one priority in controlling that risk. So we're going to look at how we can execute some professional trade strategies using defined risk models and automatic targets. Okay, so when it comes to financial markets, they are incredibly difficult. I'm sure all of you on this call or who are watching this video have struggled at some point with financial markets. And even more so now, in the current environment that we live in, there is a huge overload of information, whether that be coming from social feeds, whether that be coming from traditional news wires, or coming from other social areas such as Reddit, X, wherever it may be that you go to get your financial commentary and news. So all of this together creates very volatile price action and can very easily overwhelm any trader in the markets. The other thing you have to consider is that when you are trading in financial markets, you are trading against millions of other participants all at one place. The market is a big ecosystem where everybody comes together and everybody thinks they've got an edge and some way of beating the financial markets. Now, when we participate in the financial markets, if you think about who's playing, we're talking about some of the biggest hedge funds in the world, some of the biggest banks in the world, some of the richest people in the world, all together in this one place, and we're all trying to fight for that little bit of profit that we can try and get. Now, these big companies, these people with deep pockets and lots of cash, they can go out and attract the smartest people in the entire world, and they're all working together to try and outsmart the financial markets. So it really is a very competitive landscape. Now, that's not to say that you can't be successful. You can, but you need to be aware of the risks, and you need to come up with a strategy that works for you. And there are millions of different strategies that you can try and use when it comes to financial markets. So what we try and do as a company is monitor all of this complexity that's ongoing, understand the strategies that are being applied by some of the big hedge funds, by some of the big banks, and actually try and bring these into the retail space to try and offer them up to the everyday trader that is already at a disadvantage because they don't have the same resources that some of these big institutional companies have. Now, with all this information in one place, it can lead to analysis paralysis. So you've got all of this coming into your mind, all of this coming into your feeds. This is how you should trade. This is what you should do. All of the information together in one place can make it very complex, and we can get paralyzed by the amount of information that we have. So it can be very, very overwhelming. So essentially what Acuity do is try and cut through a lot of that noise. Now, I'm going to be talking exclusively about trading signals today, the signals that are provided into the OneRoyal ecosystem, and we'll bring up a screen in a moment to talk through those. But essentially, we offer three different types of trading signal. So firstly, we have analyst signals. We have a team of professional analysts, and their job every day is to go out there and look at all of the markets that they cover and try and come up with a professional setup to decide where to enter the market, and most importantly, where to exit the market. Now, the exit can obviously be one of two things. It can be the stop loss, or it can be the take profit. And there could be a third as well. We could base it on time. So after a certain period of time, trade ideas can become expired, and therefore we will come up with new analysis for the next trading day. Now, this team are very experienced, and they are using their discretion to come up with trading ideas every single day. The second type of signal that we will cover are pattern signals. This is, as it says on the screen, a relentless algorithm that is continually scanning financial markets throughout the trading day, so 24 hours a day pretty much in most circumstances, 5 days a week. When it comes to cryptocurrencies, continual coverage, so we're covering these over the weekends as well. And what we are scanning for is 24 classic technical analysis chart structures across different time frames and across different assets. So these are completely automated. We've got the know-how and the understanding of how these patterns form, and we have built that into an algorithm that is continually scanning for these opportunities. Now, patterns, I'm sure some of you are aware of, appear again and again and again in financial markets. And what we are looking to do is identify those and put some structure around these trade ideas. So where is the best place to enter, and where is the best place to exit these trades? And finally, we have AI signals. AI, of course, is the hype word at the moment. Everybody wants a piece of it. I'm sure all of you who are watching this video have already played around with some of these fascinating AI models and are aware of some of the things that they can do. We've been working with AI for a number of years, and we've built a scalable, continuous quantitative scanning methodology across thousands of markets. And what we're trying to do is analyze the sentiment that is going towards these companies and these assets on an ongoing basis. So if there is some news out somewhere that's positive for Apple, let's say, we will be able to see the change in news sentiment over time, and then we are structuring trade ideas around these. And I'll go into a bit more detail about these shortly. So just about the analyst signal. So human context, professional trading discretion. So many of you will have started out in financial markets by looking at charts and actually making these decisions yourself, maybe without any indicators initially, just trying to pick where you think there might be value in a particular market, where you can get in and where you can get out. So these are created by experts, all certified in financial market research analysis. They're all technical analysts by trade, and they're coming up with complete plans. So a very defined execution structure on every market that we cover. This includes the direction. So are we going long or are we going short? Are we buying or selling? And where are we looking to get in? So the entry level and the take profit level, and the confidence score as well. And I'll come on to more details about that shortly. But also what's important about these human trade ideas is that I tell my analysts every single day, you need to give me a clear rationale as to why you think this is a good idea today. So they need to explain why it is they feel this is a good opportunity for anybody to go out there and copy what it is they've come up with today. And this is really important from an educational perspective. Now, if you've never traded with a signal before, that's absolutely fine. If you don't trust signals, I completely get it. That's probably because you have an inquisitive mind and you want to understand why markets are moving. So that's why we ask our analysts to tell us exactly why they think this market will go up or down. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to be right, but at least they are providing some clear explanation as to why they think this might happen. Now, if you're new to financial markets, this can be very handy indeed because it adds an educational element. If you're unaware of the sort of phrases that people will use when describing setups, by reading these explanations and maybe not even doing anything else, you will understand the rationale. You'll be able to take what they've said on each of these trading signals and maybe even apply it to your own charts to understand what it is the analyst is thinking. And this will help your understanding of financial markets. So there really is a strong educational element to everything that we do. Now, the AI signals, these are automated at scale. That's obviously the beauty of working with algorithms and AI is that we can do things on a huge scale, looking at massive data pools across many, many assets. So we're looking at over 2,000 assets instantly here. And we are then looking at the psychological stresses that we can see, taking all of that out of it and applying it to our trading strategies. So it's designed to really enrich your tactical market awareness and certainly not to replace your validation. The other thing about these trading signals, even if you don't want to follow them, I would strongly suggest that you take a look each day at what it is that we're saying, because it may keep you out of trouble. If we are looking to sell something today and you were thinking of buying it, this may give you a little bit more validation to think, actually, I might wait another day and see if things change. And then looking at pattern signals. So these are chart formations, as I've already mentioned. We're looking at 24 different types of formations. So we're looking for different types of wedges, triangles, head and shoulders, double bottoms, triple bottoms, flags, pennants. There's a big range of different patterns that we are continually scanning, and we are looking at these on multiple time frames as well. So if you were to look at a daily chart or a weekly chart, even down to a 1 hour chart, they're all going to look slightly different, and you will be able to see patterns on every single time frame that you look at. So we're trying to identify as many of these as we possibly can and delivering them with instant visualization. So as soon as you log in, you'll be able to see the chart, you'll be able to visualize the pattern, and you will be able to see the risk and the reward that's on offer for each of these setups. So in terms of the coverage, how many markets do we actually cover? So the analysts are covering between them around 50 markets per day. And these are the most popular markets that you have probably traded many, many times before. So we're talking major FX markets, major indices, the top commodities and the top cryptocurrencies. So these are the continual universe of assets that our analysts are looking at every single day. And they're released at different points in the day as well. Obviously, the European session is where the main activity happens. This is when we are looking at FX markets. We're looking at some of the European indices. As the day progresses, we'll start to bring out more analysis. So we'll start covering the US indices. We'll start covering the cryptocurrencies around lunchtime in London. And then towards the end of the day, we will start the coverage for the Asia Pacific session. So we're looking at obviously yen currencies, Aussie, New Zealand dollar, and some of the Asian indices as well. For the patterns, because we're starting to now get into the algorithmic side of things, we can extend the coverage. So now we're looking at 150 different markets. So we're talking about more stocks, more FX markets, additional crypto markets, and we can really expand the coverage there. So we're looking at about 150 assets at the moment on the patterns, and we have plans to expand this even further still. So as I mentioned, these are not limited to different sessions. This is a continual algorithm that is running 24/5 for the traditional markets and 24/7 for the crypto assets. And then finally, our biggest coverage comes from the AI signals, again, utilizing the AI capabilities that we have internally. And this is where we're looking more on a stock level. So we're looking at thousands of stocks, the full S&P 500, the Russell 2000, NASDAQ, UK stocks, European stocks. And these are continual real-time calculations, but because they're mainly stocks, obviously they are limited. They don't trade around the clock in the same way FX indices and some of the commodities do. Now, one thing also to note is that we have a very strict predefined structure on all of our trades that we present within our system. Every single Signal X setup that you see, as I've already mentioned, will have a very clear entry, target and stop loss. But more importantly than that, every single trade idea has a risk reward ratio, a minimum risk reward ratio of 2-1. So for every €1, $1, £1 that we are risking on these trades, we are looking to make at least 2 in return. We want to try and maximize our upside and minimize our risk. Now, the beauty of having a 2-1 risk reward ratio is that your win rate does not need to be 70, 80, 90%. There will be people out there on various platforms that are telling you that they have win rates in this region. From my experience of over 20 years in financial markets, I have rarely seen that. If you are hitting around 40 to 50%, then you are doing exceptionally well. So as an expectation, keep that in your mind. And then if you're risking $1 to make 2, you actually only need to be right 35% of the time in order to be profitable. So obviously if we can hit a bit above that, around sort of 45%, then I would consider that you're doing very well and you've probably got a strategy that is working very well for you. Now, where it tends to come unstuck for many traders is that they'll have a risk reward of 2-1, they'll have a win rate of 45%, but when it comes to how much they're actually risking on a trade, they might be risking 3, 4, 5, 10, 20% of their account balance on any one trade. So you do not give yourself any room for mistakes. If you go on a 6-7 trade losing streak, which is very possible, in fact highly probable if you're going to be involved in financial markets, then you will not survive if you are risking huge sums of capital on a per trade basis. So we tend to work on the basis of risking 1% per trade. But if you were risking 0.5%, that would be absolutely brilliant. You would see that your equity curve would be far smoother. If you're risking 3, 4, 5% a trade, you will see big swings in volatility in your overall P&L. So that really is something to consider. So I'm just going to jump out of this a second and go into the OneRoyal ecosystem. So hopefully you're all familiar with this. Once you log in to OneRoyal, this is where, of course, you can deposit to your account. But also on this left-hand side, you've got access to a whole range of tools that OneRoyal have made available to all customers. And there's some really interesting stuff here that I would recommend anybody with an account goes through and takes a look, because all of this is designed to give you the best possible chance and help you provide the best outcomes overall. So what we're going to focus on is Acuity AI. If you click on this, you'll see there are many options. So we have a calendar, a scanner, Asset IQ, news, and a daily intel email that you can subscribe to. So if you haven't done that, please feel free to check it out. What we are focusing on today is Signal X. So that's right at the top of the list. And once you click on that, you will be brought to the Signal tool within the OneRoyal system. Here we go. So immediately we're greeted with many different opportunities today, which again can be overwhelming. So there's things that we can do to try and whittle this list down and actually focus on the things that we are most interested in. Now let's start at the top of the screen. You'll see there's some icons here. So when you log in, you are defaulted to the human signals. So this is a complete list of all of the signals that our human analysts have generated today. This little icon here, the stars, this will take you to the AI signals that we've been through already. And there is another big list of assets here. And the final icon, this little triangle, is where you'll see all of the pattern trades that have been sent out recently and are currently live. If you want to view them all together, then this icon on the left will show you every single trading opportunity that has been generated today. So there is a big list there that you can work your way through. So we have these filters. So we've got confidence, we've got asset classes, we've got countries, indexes, sectors, performance, live status. We can go into the granularity of different patterns, and also we can look at different time frames as well. So let's start with these human signals just to keep it simple. So we've got trade ideas coming in throughout the trading day, as I've mentioned, all hopefully quite visual and intuitive for everybody to understand. Let's just make this a little bigger. So if it's red, as you can see here, we are selling. We are thinking that this market is going to go down in price. If it's green, quite simply the opposite. We're looking to buy. We think the market price will go higher from where it's currently trading. And you'll see we've got different types of entries as well. So we've got sell limits. So we are looking to sell at a higher price, expecting it to come down. And we have a buy limit where we are looking to buy at a lower price, expecting the price to rise. On every single tile, you've got the entry, you've got the target, you've got the stop, and you've got the confidence score, which I'll come on to in a moment. And you'll also notice that there's an expiry on all of these trade ideas as well. These trade ideas do not live for infinity. They get to the expiry time and these trade ideas will drop off. We will lock them in from a profit and loss perspective, and we will close these ideas, and then the following day we will rewrite new analysis for the day ahead. Now that doesn't mean you have to forget about these trades. If you want to continue running these trades after the expiry, by all means do that, particularly if it's looking like it's going in the right direction, all the trends are aligned. Obviously you can then take it into your own hands to start managing the trade, perhaps raise your stop loss up so that you protect yourself from any reversals in price. So Zia, in terms of when these signals are posted, they're posted throughout the trading day. The majority of the trade ideas are posted in the European session. So that is 6 a.m. UK time, 6 to 7 a.m. UK time. And then throughout the trading day, around 12 p.m. UK time, you'll get US indices and cryptocurrencies. And then around 4 p.m. UK time, we will start to release the Asia Pacific analysis. So this will be covering yen currencies, Aussie, New Zealand dollar, and some of the Asian indices. So very simply, just by looking at the screen here, we've got lots of different trade ideas. If you're interested in a particular market, let's say you want to have a look at the S&P 500 today, you can find it very simply. You can go ahead and execute the trade directly from within this portal. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So let's click on a trade idea. Let's have a look at the FTSE 100 because I'm from the UK. So let's have a look at that today. So once we click on these tiles, that's when we start to get more information. This is where the educational element comes into it. This is where you can do more research and actually understand why do they think this is a good idea today. So again, we have the entry, we have the target, we have the stop, and all of this is visualized on the screen here. Notice the difference between the green area and the red area. The green area represents our reward, how much we are looking to make from this trade setup today, and the red area represents our risk. Where is the point we decide where we are wrong on this trade? And just by glancing at this, you can see there's a high here on the chart. Note that this is a 4-hour chart, so each of these candles represents 4 hours worth of price action. And you'll notice that our stop loss is just above that previous swing high. So the expectation from the analyst today, noting that it's been mixed and volatile of late, prices have reacted from the 10,568 level. We've got some bespoke resistance around 10,500, and our preference today is to sell into rallies. So we are looking for a small move into our entry level there with the expectation that the price will fall down into this area here. So we actually have two targets. We display the first target here, the second target is visible here on the chart. We also have support and resistance levels. So if you took a look at this today and think, okay, Signal X is suggesting a sell today on the FTSE 100. But you might look at this and think, okay, there's a resistance at 10,525. I'd actually prefer to sell it a little bit higher than where they've suggested today. And at that point, then if you stick with the same stop loss, you're getting a much bigger risk to reward return on this potential setup. So there's lots of things you can do. You can analyze the support and resistances. You can draw them on your own charts, and they may hopefully line up with things that you may already be looking at. And then what you're getting is validation that what you're looking at is what other people are looking at. And if lots of people are looking at the same level, that's when you get reactions in financial markets. That's where you see resistances and support levels hold, when there's big crowds of people that are also looking at the same thing. So let's go to the top here. We didn't talk about the duration. So all of these trade ideas on the human side are intraday trade ideas. So we are looking to get into the market and out of the market on the same day if possible. Now, that doesn't always happen, of course. It might be that we've set up a sell limit today on UK 100, but it doesn't actually reach our desired entry level. That's fine. We don't need to trade every single day. But out of the 50 markets that we cover on a daily basis, between 35 to 40% of them will actually go live. So if you're interested in maybe 2 or 3 different markets, or you've got a broader amount of markets that you like to look at, you can select a few of them, put them onto your trade orders for the day and set them to cancel at the end of the day. And then if they don't get triggered, we'll have a look the next day. We don't always have to be in the markets. As you may have heard before, sometimes the best trade is no trade at all. So then we move on to the confidence score. You'll see this is quite low for the FTSE today, for the UK 100. Now, we will never show you maximum confidence on a trade idea. We've done that before, and we've had telling off before, because if it's maximum confidence, I don't want anybody on this call to think that's going to be a guaranteed winner. because there are no guarantees in financial markets. So if we have high confidence, we will never display that we have got maximum confidence, because that's something that we can't be seen to be doing. Trades can always go wrong. News can come out, things can change instantly. So there are no guarantees that any of these trades will work. How we calculate the confidence score is based on a few different things. So primarily it's based on the trend of the market. Is the underlying trend in the same direction that we are looking to trade today? Well, I can tell you that it's not with the UK 100. If you look at any financial index at the moment, the main indices, they've all been trending higher. So we're looking to sell today. We're actually looking to take the other side of that trend, and therefore the confidence score is lower. Now, although the confidence score is lower, essentially what we're doing is taking a riskier trade here, because we are trading against the trend. Now, that can be good and that can be bad, as we probably all know. If we are trading with a lower confidence score, normally what you will see on the human analyst signals is that the risk reward is much bigger. So I mentioned 2-to-1 is our minimum. If we are trading against the trend, we are looking for a violent correction or move in the opposite direction, and these tend to happen very fast. So we're normally looking for something much larger than 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, maybe even 5-to-1 in some instances. The other thing that's taken into account with the confidence score is the recent performance of our analyst on this particular market. And we're also taking into account news sentiment, which you can see here. A nice little visual gauge. And now this works in a quite an interesting way. So we have algorithms and AI technology that are ingesting millions of news articles every single day. Now, all of those articles are put into our system, and we are analyzing the text within those news articles to determine whether or not the news is bullish or bearish. So we're looking for positive language, negative language, and we're bringing this all together to provide a sentiment score on each of the assets that we cover. So at the minute, we're getting 51% bad news, 49% good news. Sounds like Brexit to me, but yeah, it's quite balanced at the minute. Now, you will see other examples where new sentiment is heavily bearish or new sentiment is heavily bullish, and this can just be another kind of layer into something you might want to look at when you are coming up with trade setups for the day ahead. We also have next volatility events down here. This is really handy because obviously markets are driven by economic data. And this just shows you all of the economic data that is coming out today in relation to the asset that you've selected. So I've selected UK 100. Earlier today, we had Bank of England minutes. We had a rate decision that was unchanged, so you can scroll back and see what news has come out today, but also look at what's coming out in the next 24 hours. So tomorrow at 7 a.m, we've got retail sales out in the UK, something you need to be aware of, because if you're looking to trade the FTSE 100, this could have quite an impact on how price moves around that time. And then below this, we have a trade idea performance. So we're very transparent. We try and show everything that we do. We haven't got anything to hide. We've got a huge history of trade ideas that we've published going back to 2017. And what you have here is hypothetical setup based on a starting balance of 1,000. That could be dollars, euros, pounds, whatever your chosen currency is. And you can see how that has improved over time. And this is on the assumption that we're risking 1% of that 1,000 balance per trade. So we can actually look back and see this was the trade idea on the 10th of June. It was a buy limit. We got closed profit. That was the entry. That was the target. This was the outcome. And this is what it did to our hypothetical balance. Moved it up to 1,013. And you can even scroll back even further than that. So you can see we'd have periods where things are going really not so well, but then periods where things are going really well. And you can look back and see April last year, we had 4 trades on the UK 100, 75% win rate, with an outcome of 5.39% for that particular month. And this is the same on all the assets that we cover. And at a glance here on the right hand side, you can see historic win rates, the average duration of trade. So this is based in hours, and the average outcome of the trades as well as the profit factor. All of these have got nice little information icons. So if you're wanting to know more information about how these are calculated or what they mean, then please do click around and take a look. Okay, so that's the human signals. As I mentioned, many there. You can see at the top, if these trade ideas have gone live, you will be indicated on that at the top of these tiles. Let's take a look at Euro New Zealand dollar. So you can see we're buying today. Price was a little bit high this morning. It's dipped down into our entry level and had a nice little bounce off, which is exactly what we want to see, of course. Okay, let's take a look at patterns. So this is relatively new. Again, you're getting the same sort of information here. Notice that the order types are different. These are sell stops and buy stops, because when you're trading with patterns, we are actually executing our trades at the point that they break out from the pattern that we've identified. Now, there are other ways of trading these. You can trade the pullbacks to retest the breakouts, which is probably a safer way of doing it. But for the purpose of illustrating these trades, we always do them at market orders. So as soon as the pattern has completed, we will alert the system and these trade ideas will be live for all to see. So let's have a look at dollar Swiss. So we've got a buy stop there, we've got the entry, we've got the target, the stop and the expiry. So this is expiring in 11 days and 11 hours. So there's a lot more duration available on these things. So that's when we expect to have an outcome on this particular trade in 11 days and 11 hours from now. Notice on the bottom right hand corner of each of the tiles, we have a time frame. So we either have 1 hour, 4 hour, or we have 1 day, as you can see here on Tesla. So there's lots of different durations that you can choose from. And of course, on the filters, if you're only interested in trades that have got setups over 1 hour, 4 hours, or 1 day, you can select them quite easily from here. So we were looking at dollar Swiss. So let's go for a 4 hour. And then, of course, we're shrinking our list down quite considerably. So we're narrowing our focus here. And rather than being overwhelmed with lots of different trade opportunities, we're starting to make a bit of a smaller list. So if we take a look at this one, we've got a wedge formation and we can look at the chart here. So we know this is a 4-hour chart. So you can see here the wedge has formed on the chart and we've seen this big breakout, big green candle. And that's the point on the open of the next candle that we have suggested this is a live trade. Now, of course, you could try and trade the pullback down to this kind of level for a retest, but ultimately we expect the price to get to 81.55. That's the measured move that we've indicated from this wedge and where we think the price could potentially go to. Again, on the right hand side, we've got an explanation of what a wedge is. So if you're unaware, if you're learning, if you're new to financial markets, use this to your advantage. You don't have to trade it, but start doing some reading and understanding what a wedge is, and then you might be able to start spotting them for yourself when you're going through your own charts. So again, we've got the entries, the targets, the stops, and the pattern type. As I mentioned, there's 24 different types of patterns that we're covering, and we've also got the new sentiment here as well. So this is indicating that towards US dollar Swiss franc, the news is 53% bearish at the moment towards this pair, 47% bullish. Now, if there are more patterns on this particular asset, they will come here under the more patterns section. We've also included the next volatility events. So we had a Swiss National Bank press conference, which is now expired. That happened earlier today, which I'm guessing may have been what created this big spike higher. You'll also notice this trade now button. This is visible on all of the trade ideas that we present within the OneRoyal setup. If I click trade now, because I only got a demo account, if you've got a live account, what this will actually do is bring up a deal ticket and it will have all of the details already set. So it will mirror the entry, the stop and the target. And then you will be able to select how much you want to risk on that particular trade. So it's defaulted to 1% of your trading account. If you want to change that, change it for a monetary amount, change it for a percentage amount, then you, of course, have the flexibility to do that. We default it at 1% just because we feel that's a sensible number to be looking at. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have traded previously before, but you've just clicked open a position, you've set 0.02 as a lot size or 1, whatever it may be, just an arbitrary number that you've come up with. So rather than doing that, we're actually selecting percentage amounts or fixed amounts of capital that you want to risk. So if you think, okay, I like this setup today, but I only want to risk 20 euros or $20, then you can actually set that amount and it will give you the correct lot size to do that. So rather than just guessing, you're always aware of how much you're risking before you enter the trade. And also you'll be aware of how much you could potentially make. So you can weigh that up in your minds. Okay, I'm risking $20, but I'm trying to make 60. Okay, so this is a really good way of understanding risk management and starting to apply it to your trading setup. Now with the pattern signals, this is all transparent as well. So you can see the total amount of trades, the win rates, the duration of the trade. Again, this is based in hours. So on average, we're looking at about 48 hours of holding time on these particular markets. And yes, some of them will not be successful over a long period of time. You can look back and see the monthly. You can see it's capable of producing huge returns, but it's also capable of creating losses as well. That is unfortunately the reality of financial markets. but there's many assets that we can cover. You can go through all of these, take a look, see which ones are performing best consistently, and maybe those are the ones that you want to focus most of your attention on. So let's just clear those filters and let's take a look at some of the AI setup. So these are a little bit different. Again, they're algorithmic. So these will be mainly stocks and cryptocurrencies that we're covering. So if you're interested in stocks, please check them out. You'll also notice that some of the expiries are longer in duration than certainly the human ones, which are intraday, and the pattern ones, which can vary from anything to a few hours to a few weeks. So let's pick on a company that I'm sure you've all heard of, Coca-Cola, which is of course, a US listed stock. What are we doing here? So I mentioned news sentiment earlier today, and we are ingesting all of this news related to these particular markets. And what we are summarizing is whether the news is bullish or bearish. Has there been any change in the news sentiment that we should be aware of, or potentially giving us some sort of indication that something may be changing? Now you'll see the black line here. This represents the price, and the shaded area below represents the change in news sentiment. So we can see there's been a sharp little dip recently in news sentiment, and according to our algorithm, that's been decided that when we see changes of this magnitude on news sentiment on a particular asset, then that's when we should be thinking about launching a sell trade. So we've got the entry level here. If you click on the eye icon, what this actually does is give you a range. So what you're seeing at the minute is the midpoint of the range of where we think is the optimal area to consider a sell opportunity on Coca-Cola today. And again, we're describing why we're seeing this. So news sentiment has actually been 56% bullish, although we're looking at a sell. The price trend is very bullish. Volatility is currently above average compared to the sector average, and news volume is currently above average as well. So there's something within our algorithm that's decided this little sharp change in news sentiment in recent days is a strong enough signal for us to sell. Now, when you read that, that might look, actually, that doesn't look particularly appealing because everything's bullish. But you can see the confidence score here is pretty high on this particular setup. And this is, of course, all being done algorithmically and brought together in one place. Now, we don't have the performance statistics available on these just at the moment. We had a little bit of an issue with that, so we're working on a fix. But hopefully in the next couple of weeks, when you get to use this tool and come back to it, you'll be able to see that there is a huge data set of historic trades that have been published. And again, do that further little bit of research to find out where these strategies appear to be working on the most consistent basis. So as I mentioned, lots of different filtering options. If you want to look for the highest confidence setups today and you're only interested in, it's not working because we're not on everything, so let's apply that to everything. We want high confidence setups. We're interested in, well, we get nothing on commodities and FX today with a high confidence, which is quite interesting. And I'm sure you've all noticed that markets have been very volatile of late. Trends have been far harder to come by, and certainly some of the commodities in FX markets. Not so much the case in the indices. They've been obviously all doing very well. So we've got some high confidence setups here on US 500. As you would expect, that's in a big upward trend. And you can see here we're looking to buy a dip, hence the reason we've got a high confidence setup on that today. So hopefully that's given you a bit of confidence in how we go about generating these trade ideas, where to find them and how to use them and interpret them. Just flipping back to the slides just to finish up a few bits there. So as I mentioned, performance and transparency is really something that we're very particular on. We want to show as much clarity and understanding about what it is that we do, just so people can see we're not cherry picking. We're looking at showing all the winners and the losers. Consistency is a really big thing for us and something that we focus on a lot. And of course, past performance does not guarantee future results. And the SignalX function is designed as a decision support tool, not an automated advisor. So use this as part of your daily trading setup. If you are active on trading gold, for instance, then check what we're doing on gold today. There may be some things there that can help you, that help validate your idea or change your mind and keep you out of a bad trade. So there is really something for everybody. So in terms of how this could potentially work, obviously, you can identify different assets using either analysts, patterns, or AI-driven feeds. You can filter them, so you can really shrink this down to the assets you're most interested in. There is also a search function on the top right-hand corner. So if you're interested in, let's say, gold, you can just type in XAU and USD, and there's no trades there. Let's just get rid of that filter. So XAU USD, no trades today on gold. So gold's not going to give you anything, unfortunately, today. Oh, yes, there it is. So let's type in gold. So we've got a couple of signals on gold. We are selling on the human side. So we've got a big red candle there. We're looking to sell into some sort of retest around 4334. And if we look at the pattern, we've got a wedge. So, obviously the same chart, but seeing it from different perspectives. We've got a wedge there, which we've broken down from, and we're indicating that we are looking for lower prices down to 4023.79. If you're looking at oil, because obviously we're all interested in oil at the moment. Let's have a look. Is it WTI? It would be based on the naming convention. So we've got a sell set up there on the human analysts, looking to sell into a rally if we get one. But because of what's happened today on the geopolitical scene, oil is moving steadily lower. So we're looking for a bit of a rally into that kind of level there in order to trigger a sell. Okay, so as mentioned, we can use the filters. We can use these to validate our own trading setup. So if you've got a specific idea that you've got in mind today, you woke up thinking, I really want to sell silver today, use this tool to help validate your own setups. If you've got no inspiration and you don't know what to trade, but you fancy being involved in the financial markets, then again, this can be a fantastic resource for you to come and check out what are the trade setups today. Even if you do nothing, read a few of the setups, get an understanding, a feel for the market, and help educate yourself on what to do when the next opportunity arises. And then in terms of the plan, everything we do is very methodical. So we have these 2-to-1 risk reward setups as a minimum. And that's something that we will continue to do, something that we've always done. So if you're not looking for bigger returns compared to the risk that you're taking, that may serve as a bit of a warning sign, or something you can do as a bit of a health check to actually take a look at your trades, understand what you're doing, and making sure that you're not risking 50 euros in order to make 10 euros, because you need to have an exceptionally high win rate in order to be able to sustain risk reward setups of that nature. So I guess just to finish, Acuity, most trading institutions aim only to provide raw charts and volumes, but what we try to do and focus very heavily on is the interpretation and helping active traders understand exactly why markets are moving and giving them the confidence to act with conviction when it comes to financial markets. We'll continue to do that, obviously, with the AI that's around these days. We are focusing on all sorts of different wonderful, strange, different combinations to enhance what we do and make everything much easier for the retail trader. Taking all of those institutional frameworks, applying them to financial markets, and handing them out to the everyday trader to try and level the playing field. So I really hope that's been useful. Whether you're watching live or whether you're watching this at a later date, please feel free to reach out to the team at OneRoyal if you have any questions, and they can be fed back to me, and I'd be very happy to answer them. As we've got a few minutes left, I don't know if there's any questions for the attendees in the group. Zia, please go ahead.
Do you have a signal strength filter that if certain signals have certain level of strength, we can filter them? And second question is, do you have a strength-based performance chart that, okay, if any signal posted with 3 bar or more, have like 80% success rate, or vice versa?
Yeah, so if we go back to the filters again, thank you for your questions here. So here we can look for different confidence setups. So if we wanted to look for 80%, we can apply that here, and we've got nothing coming up at the minute. Let's look at the human ones. Probably because I've got that selected. Okay, so there's only 3 signals today on the human side that have got an 80% confidence score on those today. So you can certainly search for those. There is also the opportunity to search based on performance historically as well. So you can look for anything that's got a win rate above 50%, or look more generally at what are the top performers, and you'll get a list come back, hopefully. Yeah, so these are the top performers at the moment. So Aussie yen. We're buying today. This trade has gone live, and we can see historically this has been one of the stronger performers. 51% win rate, average duration just under 14 hours. So yes, you can use these filters here to try and really narrow down your search to find out what are the best opportunities according to our research today. And I will caveat that by saying, although they might be the best opportunities according to our research, it doesn't guarantee that they're going to be winning outcomes, of course. Okay, so if there are any further questions, I'd like to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time, whether you've been here live or watching this back. And as I mentioned, if there are any sort of follow-up questions that you want to ask Acuity about, please feel free to do so through your OneRoyal representative, and I'll be very happy to answer those. And in the meantime, everybody, very best of luck with your trading. It's a very, very difficult game, but you don't need to be in a rush to try and make lots of money. There is, lots of time available to all of us. And the real trick to this, to being successful, is to try and still be here in 5 years time doing the same thing. And ultimately, if you get it right and you can really nail down your risk management and approach to the financial markets, there's no reason why you can't have a long-term additional income from financial markets on top of your day jobs that you may already have. So thank you again for watching, and I'd love to do this again in the future.
Thank you.
Right. So
Absolutely.
thank
It's been
you
a pleasure.
and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Joelle. Take care, everybody.